Denver Sports Podcast. Happy Friday to you all. Congratulations to our guy Big Spence on the baby. All very excited. We're all hyped for Zach Stevens getting married this weekend. And we are hyped, as always, to be brought by the homies at Breckenridge Brewery. Check out Breck Brew's old beer locator to find the Breck Brew near you this weekend. AJ off to Canada, found himself some Palisade Peach to bring up.
True.
I am joined by my two esteemed colleagues, two DNVR, TDSP absolute faves, Justin Michael, AJ Haefele. Fellas, how are we doing? Justin, catch us up.
Doing good, man. Just got back from the Western Slope, which was always nice. We're about a month out from camp, 50 days from week 0 for college football.
Look
so
at
it's my time of year. We're starting to nerd out and get into the preseason previews and stuff. That's like some of my favorite stuff to do. So I'm stoked.
And AJ, you went from a 6-week lull to 2 weeks of excitement to another 6-week lull.
It is also our time to nerd out because our season's over and we get to play video games for the rest of the summer.
AJ and the Avs crew coming off some awesome coverage between their draft show, all the great stuff that AJ's writing that blew up on the site, and, having Megan and Jesse out in Nashville. J-Mike and the college crew will be out in Vegas soon for some college media days. Summer League crew out in Vegas for that. DNVR everywhere right now, as it should be. And feeling pretty good about our teams. I'm on day 16 of double logoing Nuggets with a hat. And
nice.
Sure, I did this post-cup with the Avs. I'm going to do it with the Nuggets. I got to enjoy my W's,
Yeah, absolutely.
But that kind of leads us to this podcast topic where we're thinking we've done a lot of retrospectives, a lot of Denver Sport Mount Rushmores and what have you. Now it's time to look ahead. We had some exciting off seasons for Avs and Nuggets, and project for next season who's going to be the best team in Denver sports in 2024 and beyond. And I'd really start with the Avs, who I think have the most moves to go through. Listen to your great pod yesterday with Jesse and Rudo, AJ.
Yeah.
And I love how you guys brought up Moneyball and that whole analogy. So set the tone for what these Avs are doing this offseason.
Yeah, I mean, it's really just about filling in some of the gaps that were pretty obvious at the end of that playoff run. Obviously injuries had such an impact, but they've really filled in a lot of their holes. And it's kind of interesting the Nuggets and Avs parallels continue because last summer the Avs had a really quiet summer. A couple of key departures, and they were like, well, we'll fill them internally with young guys. We're seeing the Nuggets do more or less the same thing. Hopefully with a little more success than the Avs.
Yeah, really, AJ.
Doing that.
Jeez.
So, but no, the Avs this offseason it's been fine. I've liked it. I'm excited for the team that they've built so far. I think they probably have 1 or 2 more moves in them eventually, but it's hard not to feel like they're one of the top 5 teams in the NHL going into the season.
Yeah, and really addressing that depth, really addressing, the bottom 6, I think. How many times have you said bottom 6 in the last 6 months? Is that like the 2-word combo you've used most in your life?
Yeah, I mean, I'll also that in 2C.
2C, yeah. That's a popular
one.
Talking about
their second-line center for a year and a half, so.
Yeah, good point. So, I mean, they've kind of addressed both those things, or at least attempted to.
Yeah, no, I think they've done a good job. They've put themselves in position to be competitive again, and, they just need a little injury luck this year, and I think they've built a good hockey team.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. It kind of feels like the fan base is hyped on the Avs. Like, last year was so weird, man. Again, the parallels with the Nuggets, almost felt like that second MVP year of Jokic, where it was kind of like, they'll win 48 and maybe make it to the second round, but that's about all we expect. How excited are you for the Avs and, their prospects going forward, J-Mike? I know you're a big fan.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks, obviously, to know that Landeskog is not going to be in the picture this season, but I think it's a big win for the franchise and just knowing that that was one of the things that stood out to me big on, the pod yesterday that AJ talked about. You kept having this feeling that where the hope was, that Landy was going to come back at some point and save you. And so that was like what the plan was. And it didn't work out. In this case, he's not going to be in the picture. So from day one, it's just a completely different mindset than what they were trying to do this past season.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're going to need some of these young guys to step it up. I mean, you need Nathan McKinnon to be Nate. You need Makar and Byram to, keep ascending. But I think it's hard not to be really excited about this young core that you have because you still have a really deep roster. I mean, Mikko Rantanen coming off a phenomenal year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really excited.
Yeah, I mean, that core is hard to beat, and projecting forward who the best teams are going to be, it's a really interesting core to put against the Nuggets core, who, of course, when you're talking about who the best teams will be in Denver sports now and beyond, it's Nuggets and Avs in the immediate. There's no getting around that.
Yeah.
Obviously. But that core of Makar, McKinnon, Mikko, and how many other guys can you add to that? Val, Byram, Georgie, and that Nuggets core where that starting five is locked in, at least for this year. The top four is going to be locked in. Beyond that, you've got the best player in the world and the best two combo. I mean, it's hard not to feel good about the Nuggets. What I think is interesting is this almost NFL-like approach of, okay, we lost some veterans. Let's go in on the young guys. What do you make of this offseason? I mean, you're a resident college hoops expert, Justin, and they're all in on college hoops veterans. 2 consecutive off seasons. It paid off with CB. What's your outlook on the Nuggets for the next couple years?
Well, I mean, if you're comparing it to an NFL team building situation, the Nuggets they're the team that has the franchise quarterback, but they're also paying that franchise quarterback. So you're somewhat hamstrung with what you can do on the open market. Obviously, you lose Bruce Brown because you can't afford to bring him back. But you're able to go out and you draft some high-value, NBA players that make your team better right now. I wouldn't say that the ceiling of these guys is as high as some of the other guys, but what they're able to do is come in and fulfill specific roles. You needed somebody to run the point. You get a guy like Jalen Pickett, 23-year-old point guard out of Penn State, who he's going to be a lot like Monte Morris a couple years ago. He's just going to come in. He's going to be savvy. He's going to make good plays. He's going to get good shots for everybody. He's going to cut and get to the hoop. And obviously being around all these other guys make you a better player. So I think it's smart. They really don't have any other options outside of trying to get creative with some trades. My only nitpick would be that I didn't really love giving Reggie Jackson that money when Seth Curry went for very similar money. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, that's nitpicking. And honestly, I think it's fair to say that Reggie should be better in year 2. There's going to be more continuity. He's going to get more, consistent run in practice. He's just going to have his feet underneath him, which I don't really think he was ever able to do. That's such a hard spot, getting traded to a contender who has a defined rotation and being like, well, we're going to throw you in some of these garbage games that we're not even really trying at the end of the season. Right. And it didn't work out. But hopefully, if he can be that number 2 point guard, or if not, then you really need Pickett to hit. But they're in a good spot.
Yeah, I don't mind the money that they gave him just because of the way that the NBA rules are about how you have to kind of match money in deals. So if they were to try to make a midseason deal to improve a position, if you're trying to get an impact guy of any kind, chances are they make more money. So having Reggie Jackson at maybe a little higher monetary value might be one of those things that helps them get a deal done later.
That's a good point.
But it's also it's if you come to that point, something's gone wrong anyway. And, but it just kind of opens up another avenue of flexibility later if you need it. Mm-hmm. So, for me, I'm it's not my money. I don't care how they spend it. That would be the only thing that I would say. I could see where they're coming from and just being
well, he's a hometown kid. He's already part of the organization.
Yeah.
It didn't work out the way he intended when he was traded this past season, but he didn't throw a fit. He was still a good teammate. At that point, I think you just, like I said, invest in him and hope that he's better in year 2, which with more, continuity and familiarity with his teammates, you would assume that it will be.
Yep.
Well, in 21-22, he actually had some really great moments with the Clippers. Like they were kind of going to him in the clutch. He was like what Russell Westbrook was for the Clippers last year. And then with the Nuggets this past season, he was just like a shell of himself. You hope he's maybe
been a good player in the
halfway
league.
through there. Yeah, exactly. He's had a fine career. His percentage is always a little off, but hey.
Yeah.
The interesting part with the Nuggets is then you have this new CBA looming over all this,
Yeah.
which is like, of course, the reason the time the Nuggets are the 3 max team, the rules are going to change, right? Which I'm not, with all the like the league hates us talk from Nuggets fan, this one truly is just coincidental. And
It still doesn't feel good,
No,
man. When you
does not.
watch 20 years of
Yes.
teams doing whatever the hell
Yes.
they want in terms of going out and chasing stars and watching stars team up and all the gymnastics that get done in the NBA to build the super
Right.
teams. The Nuggets internally build their own little super team here, and the NBA is like, no. And it's more about Golden State.
I was
than
gonna say
Denver.
it's the Warriors.
1,000%.
And Golden State did the same thing. It's internal. Those guys are all drafted and developed by them.
Yeah, Kevin
But-
Durant aside, that became
Wiggins,
the Wiggins
yeah.
contract. et
Yeah,
cetera,
but
et cetera.
it's like even that's still kind of messed up because you're like
right.
you're punishing teams for doing it the right way, and not punishing the teams, like the
Yep.
the Lakers and the the Nets on like their third attempt to try and shortcut something. You
Right.
know?
And ultimately, I love it because it should create more parity in the NBA, which, boy, do we need,
Yeah, it'd be nice if the stars separated.
Well, some
Yes,
of that's going to
yes.
happen too, though. And I'm not qualified enough to go into the specifics of some of these changes, but that is one thing that is also going to change is that the players are going to have a little bit less flexibility with I know I just signed this super max, but I want out now. It's going to be like
Right.
you
Which
can
is the
only make
lameness.
this money here,
Yeah,
which is good. They need more of that.
yeah.
AJ, you mentioned some parallels, though, with like kind of the Avs post-Cup last offseason with how the Nuggets are going about things this offseason. How concerned
It's
or
funny. You
how
gotta
would
make
you handicap?
financial choices. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
it's funny how that works.
Yeah. It's always tough after winning a chip to repeat. But what's like your outlook on the Nuggets' chances to repeat and like who really has a better shot next season
Well, I would say
between
that
Nuggets and Avs?
the Nuggets have the better shot just because in the league that they play in, having the best player is more important. Nikola Jokic can just do more on his
point.
own
Great point.
than Nathan McKinnon or Cale Makar, because what we saw in that Seattle series, Nathan McKinnon was superhuman.
Yeah.
That's maybe the best we've ever seen him play in postseason, and it didn't matter. It was a first round loss, man. Like, it goes to show you that in the NHL, like, that's what superstars can do. They can almost win you a playoff series like that.
Yeah.
But in the NBA, I mean, we just saw what Jokic at the height of his powers, totally locked in, totally focused, driven, and just outplays everybody. If he goes out and does it again, I don't know why anybody would doubt the Nuggets' ability to repeat.
Is it fair to say Jokic is also more firmly the best player in the NBA compared to anyone the Nuggets have or the Avs have currently?
Well, yeah, because the best player in the NHL by a wide margin is Connor McDavid, and that's just
The superhuman
like,
that's
sorry, like that's
twice
just true.
the size and faster than everyone.
like,
Yeah,
he's-
seemingly plays every minute of every game.
He's unbelievable, and
He's absurd.
He's gonna go down as a top 5 player of all time. And the only, and the Avs with Cale, I think Cale Makar is going to help redefine defensemen in the NHL over the next 20 or 30 years. He's going to become the guy that every team falls all over themselves chasing. Not the Nick Lidstroms and not Chris Prongers and it's going to be Cale Makar. And so I think he's going to have a deep impact like that. And I think he is unbelievably special on the caliber of a Jokic. But Jokic is, I think, just the best player in the NBA. And the Avs, instead of having the best player in the NHL, have 3 of the top 15 players.
Right.
So, little
With-
trade-off there.
And I mean, with some margins for more, because you go down that list, when does Devontae's name start coming up, or
and
a
what
guy
happens
like
if,
Bo Byram
what
with a
happens if
consistent
Bowen Byram
season?
stays healthy? Yeah, you could make an argument that the Avs have maybe 6 of the top 50 players in the NHL,
Right,
maybe 7.
right.
So when you start talking about it, and it's like, well, that's why the Avs are viewed the way that they are. But I do think that the Nuggets just have that ultimate feather in their cap of the league in which individual performance matters the most. They have the best player in his prime, like right in the heart. And he's going to win the MVP next year. And the Nuggets should be considered pretty serious favorites.
Yeah, I mean,
As much as, Phoenix can get all crazy or whatever, but
Right.
you still,
they got Bradley Beal.
yeah, they got all these guys on minimum contracts too that are super good.
A guy
Yeah,
who's never played
see,
a
man.
full season in his entire career.
We'll see. It's, maybe I'm not going to discount say they can't do it, but they've got to prove it, and that's where the Nuggets don't anymore. They've walked the walk, and
it's a great point.
all Devin Booker knows is talking the talk. So for me, if I'm in Denver, I'm looking around going, great, good for you guys. This shit still runs through our house.
It's Jokic gone. I've got 45, brother.
Yeah. I don't think. Good luck to all of them, man. Good luck chasing that monster.
Absolutely. I mean, hard to say it better than that, Justin, but it matters more to have the best player in the NBA. There's also less playoff variance. I mean, that's undeniable.
Absolutely.
And I mean, that core's a little older, in their prime, though. I mean, Jokic 28, Murray 26. It's about the same as Miko and Mac, right? Mm-hmm. Cale's obviously, Cale and PJ 24. It's almost parallel right there. If anything, you could say the Avs have more of those guys who can raise their floor still. The Byrams, the Georgies. I mean, how many more levels does Cale Makar's game have to go? Do you see it like AJ does, where the Nuggets are in a better position, which is saying nothing against the Avs?
Yeah, I mean, there might be a little more parity in the NHL in terms of the West is so heavy right now in the NBA, whereas I guess you could make an argument for a team like Boston or Philly, who's just going to have less teams that they're going to have to go through than Denver will, with the Lakers, and who knows what happens with the Clippers if those guys are healthy or whatever, but Phoenix and everyone else, Dallas. But yeah, AJ pretty much nailed it on the head. The most impactful player, you're able to more easily dominate in the NBA. I think the NHL is the weirdest, most challenging playoff format that there is.
That's what makes it so great.
Yeah. It's just what makes it so fun is the possibility of, this team that, at 120 plus points, they're not just going to cruise like they are in a lot of times in basketball. You still have to earn it each and every round. And that's not to diminish any other sports playoffs. I just think hockey's on another level.
Yeah. Well, it's why we need to embrace parity in the NBA. Whatever it takes on this new CBA to bring it on, please. Yeah. I mean, got to, by any and all means necessary. I want to talk about some new sponsor we've got, Bird Dogs, the homies. They make you look good. They are super comfy. This is the type of pants and shorts that our guy Zach Stevens will wear. If you notice, Zach, it always looks like he's not got some nice pants on, but he's actually got some really light material, stretchy pants on. And
I do notice this about him.
Yes. It seems you look put together, but then you look a little deeper. It's this guy dresses casual.
This guy
Just
and how he dresses.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's a Lululemon guy. That's a lot of this. Bird Dogs, though, more comfy, better stuff. And I was going to say more, but I'll stop there because Bird Dogs has great product. You got to check them out. Go to birddogs.com/DMVR. Enter that promo code DMVR and get a free Yeti-style tumbler with your order. That's birddogs.com/DMVR or promo code DMVR for a free Yeti-style tumbler. You won't want to take your Bird Dogs off. That's how comfy these are. That's how sleek they are. You want to live your life like Zach Stevens. Trust me on that. You want to get in on some Bird Dogs shorts for the summer to be comfy and feeling great. And, of course, Game Time, where right now you get on that Game Time app, you use the code DMVR for $20 off when you first sign up. Game Time's great. All the last minute deals. Even some of the homies at Summer League right now using Game Time because Game Time has you covered with all the last minute good that you can find. Their customer service is amazing. They've got all the tickets. Yaya and I, we're talking about taking the wives to Peso Pluma. Apparently very popular. Both our wives love Peso Pluma. I don't think we'll be able to afford it, even Game Time. You know, there's limitations to everything. But, yeah, I just love AJ's responses here and reactions. That's all I'm doing right now is just looking at AJ and hunting facial reactions. Game Time, game of the week is upon us this weekend at the Dick, as it's known. Dick's Sporting Good Park. Great place. Go see the Pids play FC Dallas, and legend Drew Moore be honored at that game. Right now, tickets going as low as $24 on Game Time. I mean, sign up at Game Time with code DMVR, $20 off. That first ticket's on them. Actually, it's on us. You used our code. So first ticket is on us. Give or take a couple dollars here and there. Go to the Pids, honor Drew Moore, a true legend.
Friend
And
of the
on
pod.
the set, I've done a World Cup watch along with Drew Moore. Like, who can say that? Honor Drew Moore because he's a friend of the pod. Boom, Game Time, game of the week. Pids this weekend against FC Dallas. Be there or be square.
Real homie, that Drew Moore.
Absolutely. I use the term homie maybe too much on my reads. That's a good note right there. That's a good note.
I use it each and every day. So
Well, I mean,
if you are partnering with our pod, what is more? That's what a homie is.
That's what a homie is. Thank you, Justin. Thank you.
Just haters out here.
Absolutely. Or simply people who have a nose for detail. Okay. Now the league outlook.
Yeah.
The NBA's got the new CBA. The NHL just has some good teams like the Boston Bruins and stuff.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Where do those factors we've already talked about Phoenix a little bit play into the long-term success and ability to win multiple chips, Avs versus Nuggets and all this?
Yeah, I mean, I still think that because I think the Nuggets are still clearly number one there.
Yeah.
Their path is cleanest. As much as you can like what the Lakers might have done or, whatever. All those teams are relying on a superstar that's old. Either old or injury prone or both.
Or
man.
soft.
Yeah, I mean, in Devin Booker's case, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
AD.
sure, pick one.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
totally. Right.
And then the guys out east,
We don't got to get into
Inherently
the
soft.
pity party.
They're out east. I mean,
yeah.
the East has been soft my whole life, it feels like, essentially. Since
much.
Jordan retired, I think. Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just their path is the cleanest, and with the Avs, I mean, are they the best team in their own division right now?
Yeah.
Dallas has had a good offseason. Are they the best team out west? Vegas just won the cup. And
Vegas just won the cup, yeah.
haven't
How much
changed
does
too
that
much.
factor in?
So, they're Edmonton's still trying to get better, still trying to maximize its McDavid Draisaitl window. I think the Avs are in a good position, but it's a competitive position, and I guess I'm just not really sold. Like, for the Nuggets, it just feels like other teams are kind of saying, well, if this happens and that happens and that happens, and the Nuggets are like, look, if we just stay healthy, we're the best team.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but that's where we're at. Like,
If the Nuggets are healthy and they're doing their thing, they have the best basketball player in the world, and he just happens to make a pretty good core around him significantly better. Like Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, MPJ, all these are very talented pieces, but with Jokic, it's like being on the video game where you get the boost just from, being around somebody else. It's sweet.
Yeah, and in the NBA, it's like
Well, and
there could still be an Ayton move out there for Phoenix, right? But they kind of need Ayton. There's no centers, right? Like, you lose your big man, we'll just feast.
yeah, right.
The Nuggets can just feast. The Lakers are really old, so then it starts to be, oh, well, OKC could be a monster in 5 years, or watch out, Wemby's coming, or
Yeah.
Luka and the Mavs are kind of like
Yeah, but Nikola might have 3 rings by then.
Right.
That's
Right.
because you talk about the immediate future, and it's like it's Phoenix, right? Like that's the team that you kind
They're
of
the
think
biggest
the most,
threat. Yeah.
the team you think the most about. They went out, they make the big splashy move in Beal. They get solid depth on cheap contracts throughout free agency, and you're like, okay, like you could see where that's again going to be competitive.
Yeah.
They've
I
got
think
the
that'll
history
be-
too, that kind of adds into it.
Yeah, and I think that's setting up to be kind of the roads are leading here to these two teams again. And right now I think that's where the focus should be. As we saw at the deadline last year, some things can change.
Oh, yeah.
But at the moment, I just don't feel like, Memphis and Sacramento, Golden State, like are they? Golden State's kind of going the wrong way.
Yeah. The fact that
Memphis
everyone
and-
stayed in place in the NBA kind of benefited the Nuggets.
Yeah,
Because there
and-
was a period where it was like, oh shit, Sacramento's clearing cap. Like, what if they went after, I don't know, Chris Middleton? Like, really tried to upgrade on
Yeah.
Harrison Barnes.
Yeah, and Portland could be taking themselves out of this. And
Right, and
any
it's great.
given day.
Dame wants to go to the East, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
So-
short of Embiid coming to the Lakers in an AD swap, and
Don't-
a monumental move like that has to come to reset things and change your fear.
Don't do that.
Even then, I'm not sure I'm worried if Embiid was swapped with AD, right?
I'm not ready to see my guy Embiid in a Lakers jersey.
Well, I'm
Can't
sorry,
handle it,
man.
man.
A resident Kansas fan.
Yeah, it's hard enough
mean,
seeing him in Philly.
yeah, I should think.
It's not great.
I should think. That's tough. And then the CBA, we could be, we can begrudge it because the Nuggets finally have 3 max guys, and that might not be the time where it works out. But that does make it so that it does ensure, hypothetically, that the Nuggets stay at the top longer
You're fine
because
as long
it's
as
going
you
to
have
be harder
Jokic
for
and your
these teams
guys.
to
It's
close the
like,
gap.
look, is it a bummer that they lost Bruce Brown because they're not able to pay him? Yeah, but you're losing your 4th best player at best. Realistically, your 5th best player if
Yeah.
MPJ and Gordon are playing to their capabilities. It's okay. That's what happens. We see it with Super Bowl winning teams. We see it in every sport. You're not going to be able to keep everybody. When you win, guys want to get paid.
Very rarely do defending champions get better in the offseason in which they win.
Yeah.
You usually hemorrhage a pricey guy or two along the way. It's just life in sports. That's why it's hard to repeat. But if you can't replace Bruce Brown, man,
Yeah.
and that's not to understate his importance. He was obviously a key cog, but
He is a
come on,
role
man.
player.
You've got to be able to replace that guy.
He was a 2nd rounder who was still available on day 2 of free agency for a 1-year deal last offseason.
Yeah, and I love the guy, and I think it's great that he went and got paid.
Absolutely.
Go have fun,
Especially in
go
the
do your
East
thing.
with a team that's not going to factor into the
Yeah,
equation.
it was like this is the perfect situation for a Nuggets fan.
We get to root
because-
for him?
Yeah, you're happy for him. There's,
Oh,
there
it's
is
the
no
best.
downside here.
That's
And
the
if
best.
that dude ends up facing you in an NBA Finals, you feel pretty good about your chances to repeat.
Yeah. Goes to another ABA team. Oh, it's great.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel fine. I just feel fine about the Nuggets. I think they're. I believe in their ability to find solutions, and I'm unbelievably excited for a couple of their younger guys. So
If you're a college basketball fan these last couple of years, the guys they've brought in they're just exciting. Like Strother is a guy who's hit big time shots in big time moments. Go back and watch that UCLA game from a couple of years ago.
Oh.
I watched him in Denver this year in person, and he really stood out to me. Pickett's a guy who's just played a lot of college basketball. He doesn't have the highlights that some of the other guys do, but he's just really smart.
Mm-hmm.
We're both KU guys. We love Christian Brown. I think he's going to have a huge ascension this year with more minutes. I mean, his confidence, the fact that Malone trusted him enough to play him, even after, kind of a couple of rough stretches in the Western Conference Finals, that's huge. Malone hasn't exactly jumped at chances to play rookies in the past.
yeah, and to go away from him and then to just be like, hey, we're going to give him a couple of minutes here and there. And then he would do stuff with them, and then he'd be like, all right, let him keep going.
He's a dog, man.
So, yeah, I mean, he's the perfect glue guy. So,
And we haven't even talked about Peyton Watson, a guy who was putting up bigger stats in the G League last year than some guys who got drafted in the first round coming out the G League, AJ.
Peyton Watson's going to be a serious problem.
Yeah. He's
Beast, just
man.
his ability defensively looks like it's going to be like, I don't care what he does on offense.
those 3 blocks against Curry against Golden State last year were like, what?
Like at the end of the year, you were like that they were like the most lethargic, sleepwalky team, and they were like, just play Peyton Watson for funsies.
Dude.
And it was just like a lightning bolt hit the entire roster, and he's 10 tons of fun, man. That's a guy that it's like,
Well, that's how you get on the floor, right? Like if you're a guy like Peyton Watson, it's by being just nasty on D. We don't need you to score 15 points tonight. We maybe need you to score 6 to 8 on some open shots, or open dunk on a cut, something like that. But go out there and guard on the wing, shut somebody down, block some threes.
You talk about replacing Bruce Brown. We were like, part of that is the defense and his ability to, make life difficult defensively. And you're looking at Peyton Watson going, guy's gonna do a lot more than that defensively.
Please, I know
that he's just gonna straight up erase somebody from a game,
and just perfect for like the Suns matchup. Like he
exactly
was
like
brought on earth for that Suns matchup.
Like what happens if that guy has to go 1-on-1 against a Devin Booker?
My God,
like
I know
that guy shoot 85% again or whatever the bullshit that was.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think so.
Not to derail us at all, AJ, but we were talking about the Avs like this an off season ago. Yeah. Have they kind of like blown some of the margins that they had? Or is this simply that the Landy injury has been that big in kind of lowering their ceilings? And how huge could getting Landy back in, 24, 25 be?
I think there were 3 really important developments that took place that kind of didn't go Colorado's way. Byram got hurt again. Obviously, Landeskog misses an entire season. He's going to miss 2 entire seasons.
Yeah.
Could be done.
Yeah.
Like, there's the possibility this is just it. And he never plays again. And the last time we saw him was that cup final, which is a gigantic. I mean, that is a future altering.
No doubt.
Like, and when he comes back, you don't know what caliber of player you're getting.
Yeah.
He's in his 30s and you're coming off a major knee injury. Like, you just don't know what you're going to get. And so it's that really goes against you. And then Alex Newhook not developing the way they were really hoping to. And then them, to be honest with you, them kind of just giving up and saying, we're going to really prioritize right now. We're going to move him for a couple of picks. We're going to take one of those picks and flip him for a Newhook replacement on the roster. And then the other one is a first-round pick. We're just going to use that pick. And we're just going to reset the clock on it and just hope for the best. Hasn't gone. I mean, that has not worked for them in many years. So
they kind of haven't nailed a pick for a minute, too.
No, man. I mean, it's like Newhook is fine. Like Newhook as a 16th overall pick, as the player that he was, might have been a disappointment, but he was fine. He was an NHL player.
Yeah.
And if he never got one iota better the rest of his career, a 30-point guy is fine.
Yeah. Right.
Like,
does the Landy injury factor into that in the being them needing to move on faster just because you had less competent pieces out there?
Yeah, absolutely, because you needed to fill jobs, like impact jobs.
Yeah.
And with Newhook, I think they were just like, we just don't feel like we can keep waiting. Yeah. He's going to go to Montreal and he's going to put up 50 points this year, and everybody's going to be like, what is this? And it's a complicated conversation, but
when you were also talking about, I mean, your Moneyball conversation is also part of like replacing Landy in a by committee, and like occupying that real estate in the ice that they struggled to.
Right.
To some, Newhook is in some ways part of that issue, right?
Yeah, absolutely. When going from Alex Newhook to Ross Colton 1-for-1, they're better today.
Yeah.
The thing is that Colton is 5 years older and.
The ceiling is
whatever
multi-year
multi-year deal they give him, by the end of that deal is probably going to be nearing the end of his time as an NHL player.
Right.
While in that same time frame, Newhook will be right in the heart of his prime.
Yeah,
doing whatever he's doing in the NHL. So assuming he's still there. So, they made that trade-off, and hey, if it works and they win another cup or two in the next couple of years with Ross Colton on the roster, it's completely worth it.
Yeah.
But you can say that they did, lower their future ceiling a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I just don't think that Colton has the potential to be the kind of player that Newhook does. So.
Landy, man, he's such a huge factor.
Yeah,
in
the
all
Landy
this.
thing. The Landy
Such
thing
a
really
huge
can't be
factor in all
just
this.
as their captain and kind of their emotional center, and then the do everything player. I mean, he was so vital to them. He was one of the league's best two-way players. He wins faceoffs. He's one of the best
captain.
net front guys in terms of deflections and outworking guys. He's one of the best board battlers in the league. Like.
Beats the shit out of dudes in fights.
Yeah, I mean, he obviously set the tone by punching Braden Shen's face back to St. Louis in that at the beginning of that season, and you were just like, oh, they're not kidding around. And 3 or 4 weeks into that season, people stopped messing with the Avs because Gabe Landeskog just kept beating people up, and that they're missing. There's so many things about Gabe Landeskog that they miss.
Yeah.
They didn't have that same attitude in that Seattle series that they played with the year before.
Well, and they didn't, and then part of that is because you're completely exhausted from a regular season where you never got a break.
No.
And then you get into the start of the series, and you immediately start having weird shit happen to you again. The series started, and it was just Goofy Town all over the place.
Losing Val was nuts.
Yeah, I mean, you've got one of your more important forwards just disappearing from your team mid-series. Everything that happened. You've got guys breaking necks and fingers and all kinds of stuff. You have your best player at that point, arguably your best player, gets suspended for a game for like one of the strangest encounters you'll see in a hockey game.
It was really
And then
weird.
he looked. I mean, I'm sure you've talked about this at length on the Avs pod, so I don't want to make you repeat too much. But he seemed kind of shook by that afterwards too. Like it kind of impacted him.
Yeah, I mean, he was also battling a hip injury.
Yeah,
Where you're like, the Avs just couldn't get a break, man. It never got better.
well, you
for
see
them.
it all the time, man. Like in the NFL playoffs, where there's this great team, and yeah, in theory, on paper, they would beat this team 9 times out of 10. But guess what? This was the year where the running back got hurt in practice that week, while the offensive coordinator got in a car accident, and this and that.
Yeah,
and
well,
that was morbid, but you know what I mean.
You're talking. They go into a 7-game series. They get into Game 7 and play a great Game 7.
Yeah.
They play great that night, and what do they lose to? They lose to a puck that is thrown out from the corner that hits 2 Avs players and goes into the net, and then a guy that makes one great shot on a breakaway, on a partial breakaway, and just beats your goaltender. That's it. You tie the game in the third period, it gets called back on an offside. Like, you just couldn't. You couldn't. There was a franchise that could not catch a break or get out of its own way or anything. Like, it just anything that could have gone wrong for the Avalanche last year pretty much did. Like, the weirdest thing is that they went in, got a goaltender that had a ton of question marks, and he was great start to finish. He was good in the postseason. Like, we walk in, we don't even talk about Georgiev on our show anymore.
No.
I think he's one of the biggest ceiling raisers, too. I mean, of the last 2 off seasons, right?
Yeah, I mean, the guy. It was a big risk that they just turned over the keys to this dude who had been on a decline in New York, and it was just like, well, when he plays stretches of games in a row, he plays better, and it's like, yeah, that's true of almost every goaltender. But then you get into playing 12 of 13, and you start to fall apart because guys aren't meant for that. It makes what Aiden Hill accomplished in Vegas so remarkable and so rare. Mm-hmm. But with Georgiev, you're just like, the guy's just great. He's just great.
Oh, he's been awesome. I mean, what a bright note. And there's still plenty of areas where the Avs can get better, man.
Yeah.
There's just no doubt. And I'm intrigued by what's happened this offseason. But when we talk like 24 and beyond, Landy's a huge factor in that. There's just no getting around.
Him coming back and it raises their whole profile. And if he doesn't, then you're talking about you don't plan on him anymore moving forward, and you have $7 million that you can spend long term now.
Right.
This year they had $7 million to spend once.
Right.
And that's how they've broken it up and gone after their depth, is they've gone after and chopped it up into, well, we got $800K here, we got $1 million here, $800K there. That's how they've kind of gone about it. if they don't have that moving forward, they can just go out and get a $7 million player next year.
Yep.
Can Nate fulfill that Landy role, in your opinion?
Leadership-wise?
Yeah.
No, hell no. He's not mature enough.
Is anybody on this
No.
roster? Yeah. I
No.
think that's the biggest. Obviously, he's a phenomenal hockey player,
Yeah.
but it's just
That leadership
he's the
vacuum
heart and
is a
soul
huge
of that
problem.
team.
It's a
and-
huge problem.
The intangibles are what hurts you most.
Yeah.
Well, especially
that's-
with Helm retiring too. Like that's another.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
you
another
get-
And
good
EJ
voice
moving
that's gone.
on, and
Yeah, you
you've
lose.
lost all this veteran leadership presence.
Yeah, the guys that have helped kind of set up the culture that you're so proud of have started to move on a little bit, and it's hard to do.
Yeah, sure is. I mean, I remain excited for both these teams, but tough combos. It's always hard to repeat. It's hard to sustain success.
At the absolute highest level, yeah.
Absolutely. It's why that.
It's not like either of these teams are going to fall off of a cliff, and all be in the lottery picture. It's just one of those, it's especially in these two, it's hard to stay on that mountaintop.
Yeah, 100%. It is not hard to get designer glasses at incredible prices thanks to the homies at Shady Rays. Use that code DMVR for 50% off your deal. All my friends and family, you could say all my homies, love Shady Rays. They are incredible lenses, actual good lenses. They are designer quality designs and quality. It's not some cheap little rinky-dink sunglass. So it's a good feel to it. Good way.
Rudo and I wore our Shady Rays the entire draft show. All 4 hours of it, we had Shady Rays on.
You looked amazing.
Yeah, we did look amazing.
It didn't
It's
bug
true.
your eyes at all.
No, not at all. It was great. It's
You
a
wear
wonderful night.
prescription glasses.
Huh?
And you wear glasses even.
Yeah.
So that'd be harder for you.
Yeah.
And yet, Shady Rays took care of you.
Yep, wore them right over top the entire night. No big deal.
AJ and millions of Americans, including Justin, who just got a new pair from our good friends at Shady Rays, are loving what these guys bring to the table. Designer glasses at half the price. And then you use code DMVR for 50% off when you buy two. Great reason to buy the wifey a free pair or what have you, Look like a good guy. Check them out. Where's my... Yeah,
ShadyRays.com.
exclusive
Use that code
There he is.
DNVR,
There he is.
50% off your order. You're going to get free shipping as well. Shout out to the homies, Shady Rays.
There you go. And everyone wants to know, Justin, when you're on a road trip and you stop at a Circle K, what is your go-to snack?
If I'm going salty, I'm going something like Gardetto's, maybe like a classic original Pringle. I just want the salt, but I'm a big chocolate guy too, so I'm probably going to get like a Reese's Sticks. If they have a Snickers peanut butter, that's up there for me. Those are hard to find.
For a road trip, you're going to get something that's got that kind of potential for mess?
I'm going to eat it so fast there won't be a mess.
All right.
Just scarfing it. AJ, what are your go-tos? We've covered these extensively.
Yeah, no, I think Gardetto's a great call. Big
Yeah.
Cornets guy.
Yeah.
Cornets are great.
Oh, man.
Can't go
Very
wrong
easy.
with corn nuts.
Very
Get that
easy to eat on the
crunch.
go.
Yep.
Yeah. So
I might
those are
have
probably
to-
my favorites. And then just kind of depends. Sometimes you get to those truck stops that are loaded, and you're like, oh my god, I've never seen this stuff
Yeah,
before.
Boston baked beans and
Oh,
peach rings and
Dude,
stuff.
you still and they've got fresh baked food there, and you're
Yeah.
just like, what is up?
Shout
This
out to
is
the
so-
Midwest. Your gas stations do it right.
dude. There's one in South Dakota that I go to.
There's some spots in
every
the
single
middle
time.
America that are incredible.
There's a Circle K that just opened up on Wadsworth, though, by Jewel. It's legit. It's my new go-to spot. You need
Yes.
Zins or something?
Yeah.
Shout out Circle K.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. All your favorite snacks. AJ going on a road trip. Justin just came from the mountains. Circle K always had us covered. Of course, I've got to get some peanuts in the mix. A little trail mix. Peanut M&Ms. Some Reese's. Some Snickers.
Peanut M&Ms
Anything
are
like that.
untouchable.
Yeah, exactly.
So good.
Go to a Circle K near you. Get hooked up. Do the thing. So these guys, they're not just not just talking Avs and Nuggets. We can talk anything here, including Rockies and Broncos. How long before they enter the conversation to plausibly be in the mix to be the best team in Denver sports? Justin, what's your feel on this?
Who we starting with?
I mean, probably Broncos, right?
I was gonna say the team that actually has a chance to jump into this conversation, or the team that exists.
Do you really feel like the Broncos have a better chance to be in a seriously competitive window before the Rockies do?
Yeah, because I don't believe that the Rockies are a legitimate, competent franchise.
I mean, just
Okay.
because of their track record, right? As
Yeah,
a Rockies fan,
I mean-
I've gotten to the point where it's like, I'm excited about the draft. I read all the mocks. And then I wonder, like, do I even care if this pick pans out? Because the last picks that panned out, it literally didn't matter. They just let David Dahl and John Gray and plenty of guys I was hyped they drafted in the top 10 and, followed their career in the minors and then followed their career in the majors. And then...
Yeah, I'm just kind of, because for me, I just wonder if Russell Wilson isn't the answer. Then
I know
you still don't have an answer there.
Well, it's certainly dependent on hitting at the quarterback, but I think Sean Payton has proven offensively he's going to elevate this team. Now, whether that's enough to complete, well, that's what I'm saying. Whether that's enough to actually save Russell Wilson, we'll see. But that's a 1-year deal. They'll move on from Russ after this year if it doesn't work. They're not going to.
Okay, so now you've moved on from Russ. It hasn't worked, and how close are you then?
You're still closer than the Rockies.
What's the difference if you're fighting for 500 or you're about to lose 100 games for the first time? You're not competing at the highest level.
Because the difference would be if you made the wild card as a Broncos team, that would be like the second best hit season in Rockies history. I'm saying that as a guy that used to watch 130 games a year.
No, I'm just saying I just don't know with the Broncos right now. I feel like it's like this default optimism because there's apathy towards the Rockies.
Yeah.
But I don't know that it's in any way justified if Sean Payton and Russell Wilson thing doesn't go well, then you still have this giant question mark here. Yeah. Your number one question is for the Broncos continues to be, hey, the sport's most important position remains a huge unknown. And if Sean Payton's as good a head coach as we think, he should keep them out of a bottoming out situation where they then are in position to go and get a top quarterback at the top of the draft, right? So if those things happen, then where do you go at that position?
Well, Kyler Murray might be on the move a year from now. Like there's
6, so now they might win 8 games. Man. Like this is kind of where I am with it, where I'm just like,
AJ, the Rockies are 30 games below 500 at the All-Star break.
They're awful, dude. They're awful and they're old. I get it.
Yeah.
I understand. But if you would have told me that neither one of them were going to make the postseason for the next 10 years, but the Broncos would have a slightly higher winning percentage, so what?
But
Fair.
Do you think there's not a path to actual... Isn't their path to contention more clear and potentially easier with saying, they're a quarterback away, which of course is that's like saying
everybody
I'm
is.
$100 million away from being wealthy.
Everybody is
club busters.
Everybody's a quarterback away
Yeah,
until you get that guy. You're just drifting in the NFL.
But you have a top 5 coach in the league, and you have the richest ownership group.
Great.
Isn't that still easier than replacing
your
12
chances of being
dudes?
competent in that scenario are so significantly higher than what we have seen. Like I'm not saying I'm a Broncos season ticket holder, and I'm not sitting here being like, look, Patrick Mahomes is still in this division, right? So the Chiefs are running things.
Yeah.
But you have one of the best coaches in the game. You have the money, and in theory that should be an advantage. But
we still have that kind of confidence in Sean Payton?
I do.
Because I don't.
He made that a lot of pretty mediocre New Orleans offenses pretty electric.
Great.
Now, it didn't translate to a ton of wins at times, but I think they have the talent defensively.
Numbers are impressive, right?
This is not my point. It didn't matter.
They won a Super Bowl.
That was it 2009? Something like that? Like, saying it's been a while, man.
That sounds
like,
right.
It's been a while here since that happened.
Well, they were in a weird spot with Breeze, though, where you basically had to commit to him for 3 years longer than you would have because of what he meant. And
I understand, and he did a great job there. But the end of his tenure was okay. And you wonder how much is reputation versus reality, because it's hard to be that level of a coach in any league for that extended period of time. Now you're in a different organization. You've got different levels of comfort, different whatever. I'm saying I want to see what happens first before I get excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's been
a
6 years of terrible. So
a year from now, if there's no Russell Wilson, you're starting over at the position. You won 6 games. You're nowhere.
Yeah, and you have a first rounder with no second rounder, and you haven't had a first rounder for 2 consecutive years. Like,
you're nowhere.
You need to replenish the stable for sure. I mean,
that's all I'm saying is that we default to it for the Broncos and for a lot, and I think a lot of it is just like they've always been good, so we're just kind of like, this is weird. They'll be good again. They're not entitled to have an answer at quarterback. They're not just because they're the Broncos and they exist doesn't mean that they're entitled to be good. They've got to make the right decisions. They have to be a good organization. And for the better part of the last decade, they haven't been. The Rockies have been a more successful organization over the last like 7 or 8 years because they've had playoff appearances. Now, what happened after that was a giant disaster.
The Nolan trade alone offsets any feel good you want to have about the playoffs.
I get it, but you're talking about they have more recent success. But
that's neat.
And the apathy towards the Rockies is and if it's not apathy, it's anger. It's well earned.
Mine's anger. It's not.
It's well earned. But I'm just saying that I don't think either franchise is anywhere right now.
I mean,
I think there's a lot of good quarterbacks coming out in the next couple of years, and I think that number is going to keep growing as we see quarterbacks are just coming out more refined because of 7-on-7s, because of high school, because of specialization. Like, I think it's going to now hitting on it is still a tough process.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have a high bust rate at all.
I'm just saying, like, you're making it seem like it's impossible. You make a trade. It's very
the hardest thing to do.
It's very hard. But at least you have a coach and you have an ownership group.
Which the ownership group we haven't seen shit from.
They spend money, but we need to see like actual sustained success.
What's our biggest problem with the Rockies right now? Their ownership group.
Ownership.
We don't know that the Broncos ownership group is going to be good or bad yet. We don't know.
Well, I mean, and
I disagree. I would say they're already good because they made moves to go get people that have proven. Russ, it didn't work out. Everyone would have made that trade. You could make an argument that the paying him before the season, that was probably a mistake. Everyone would have made that trade.
In hindsight.
Everyone would go out and get Sean Payton. Like,
they were also
these are things that they could not do in the last 5 years because you're in this weird flux with the lawsuit and the Bowens fighting over it. Like,
having an owner is a great step forward, but we don't know what they are going to be as a group yet. I'm just saying, for me, the Broncos' future is entirely unknown because all of the key people right now for me are question marks.
Fair.
And that's where I just feel like if you don't have confidence in those, because the one thing you have confidence in with the Nuggets and the Avalanche, they're run by people who have accomplished things, who have gotten there.
Well, and that's just where we differ.
They're people that you trust.
And they've put the right people in place, right?
And
the Broncos ownership is trying to do that with Sean Payton. As you're pointing out, track record,
we'll see.
But we'll see.
If it works, then great. It won't take me very long to buy in, but right now, I want to see it because I'm just not sold.
I don't think we give enough credit for winning one Super Bowl and how hard it is, especially when you realize that for like 15 years it was like Belichick or Tomlin, and then Reed.
I'm not trying to take and say that it wasn't a big deal. Like, as somebody who.
No, I just mean like Peyton's not a question mark for me, and I think that's the difference for us going in.
It's just a long time ago is what I'm like. It
was a really long time ago. I was a freshman in high school. I'm almost 30.
Yeah, and success in that NFC South he was in.
You put it in context like that, and it's like.
But so
you should feel this.
Aside from Rockies v Broncos,
Hackett was so
if we're talking like actual path forward, for one, I think you've both, you have laid out how bleak it is for either of them and how much uncertainty there is. But as far as charting a path forward, I think we can all say the Broncos are seemingly closer to that. Because the path they've charted is potentially the path to get them there. The
Yeah,
Rockies
like
are
the people that are in place. You can see being people that get them
right.
back to
The
a
Rockies
level.
need
And
to
that's
repave
basically
the
what I'm
road.
saying.
Yeah.
Is I don't know. Is there anyone you feel good about right now? And I like Bud Black. I think he's a good manager. I don't think you're basically trying to move.
He's fine.
Yeah, but
It's very hard.
I don't know that a
though.
manager matters a whole lot anymore in baseball outside of like you want a guy that communicates
no
well
doubt.
and
it's
you want
likable
like
that the team doesn't hate.
But I mean, again, it's hard to get
fine,
excited
man.
about Rockies prospects anymore.
I mean, that's
I don't
Because
pay.
they've
I don't
shown
even.
very little
I
track
stopped
record
paying
in, like,
attention.
doing anything.
I don't know,
with
man.
it, right?
They continue. They despite their own incompetence, they continue to produce out of their own farm system at a pretty steady rate.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
not the Pittsburgh Pirates here, man. Like
Yeah, no,
they're obviously like god awful this year, where they're bad and old.
Yeah.
But you look in the next
Last year
year,
wasn't
in the
awesome.
next year or two,
yeah.
I think that old is going to get replaced by a
right.
pretty
Well,
significant
that'll be
youth
nice.
movement.
Yeah.
Will it be any good? Who knows? It's
Well,
baseball.
and just like being fair, like you're always in the same division as the Dodgers. So it's
Yeah.
like even if you do turn things around, it's like you're playing for second at best.
Yeah,
That's at
well, and
best.
like Arizona's youth movement looks like it's for real right now.
San Diego's
and
spending money, hasn't worked
Yeah.
out, but
it
they're
continues to not work and goes in their entire history of every time they try really hard, it doesn't matter. The
it
Giants
just doesn't matter.
the Giants exist as like a literal sleeping giant. As soon as they can get somebody to take their money, they'll be good again.
I mean, that's really what it comes down to is, though. Like,
There are other factors in front of the Rockies that have nothing to do with their own incompetence that temper enthusiasm there.
How do we get the Rockies in the AL West?
You expand. You
love it. I'd love to be
4
an
new
AL team.
MLB teams and get them the hell out of there.
Be amazing. That's the other thing in this. Like, in football, you can turn things around in a couple seasons. Baseball,
Yeah.
like, rebuilds are like 4 years would be the shortest rebuild.
Yeah, you have to draft high, and Rockies are finally going to get themselves out of the drafting 8th, 9th, and 10th window.
Just in time
gonna-
for the MLB draft lottery.
Well, and just in time for next year's draft to be way, way worse than this year's draft. So
Let's go.
classic Rockies, man.
Let's go.
Can't even be bad at the right time.
Is it clear that the Rockies were my first favorite team?
What's that?
It's like I don't think it's coming through in this segment that the Rockies were my first favorite team, the team that basically made me fall in love with sports.
Mine too.
Yeah, we can drown our sorrows with some delicious Breck Mountain Beach Sour. And Justin, not just the Mountain Beach Sour, but you were telling me about some slushies that Breck has at the farmhouse these days.
It's summer slushy season, dude. They've got these
Insane.
seltzer slushies. They're really good. They're constantly shaping it up or changing it up. I tried to mix 2 words there.
There you go.
So it's going to be different every time you go in, but it's really cool. They've got a sweet patio area. It's a really good spot to spend a Friday night. And as Dre said, I mean, it's Mountain Beach. It's the perfect amount of sweetness and tartness. It's really crushable. You can have it by itself. You could have it with a meal. Some beers, are a little too heavy. Some are a little too light. This is just perfect. And that's the thing about Breck Brew. They make it with high quality ingredients. It all comes down to their love and passion for making good beer. They've been doing it for 33 years. They're local. They're great to us. They're going to be great to you. Check out the Breck Beer locator at breckbrew.com.
Boom.
Find a brew near you.
And then Illegal Pete's. I had some Illegal Pete's chips and queso to hold me over. It was amazing. I guess everyone had like a queso outing before I
Yeah, right.
came down to the studio.
We walked
so
in, yeah.
That's great. These amazing people, they're doing a happy hour from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. That's not a happy hour. That's an entire like dinner window.
Just a happy
Yeah.
evening.
Every day at Illegal Pete's locations. Great deals. It's patio season out there. Beautiful sunny day. Check out the patio. The vibes are amazing. Get in on all the great stuff that Pete's has to offer because, yeah, they too are homies. So we're going to do it. We've talked youth. We've talked future. It's time to draft the best 25 and unders in Denver sports. Tiff, I want you to pick who starts us off snake draft style. First overall pick being decided by Tiff right here No criteria necessary. No one can criticize you. AJ's facial expressions towards you mean nothing, okay?
I didn't even do anything.
Hey, your facial expressions are on close watch.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
There we go. We're
Let's
eeny,
go
meeny,
with Dre.
Oh, I started off. That's great. That's really great. We're gonna go clockwise.
Sure.
So you've got the turn. AJ's gonna have the snake pick.
Cool.
At the end and beginning of each round, there is a clear top pick. It's Cale Makar. No need to talk anything more.
It's Cale Makar.
Lots of great 25 and unders in Denver sports, but Cale is like in the potential GOAT conversation when it's all said and done. So give me Cale. All hail Cale.
I'm going to go Pat Surtain with the second pick. I
Yep.
think you could make an argument maybe for a Bowen, Byram, or an MPJ.
Yeah.
But I think PS2 has the potential to be the best corner in football. So, yeah.
I think he's not already.
Well,
Like right in that.
right in the
conversation.
conversation,
He's right there on the verge.
People talk about Sauce Gardner, and I was telling him to get out of here.
It's silly. Sauce is silly.
Yeah.
A lot of
Trevon
hands.
Diggs from Cowboys fans is nonsense, but you know.
INT numbers, right?
Yep, exactly. But you know, I don't know, Stephon Gilmore, someone like that.
Okay. I was just curious.
Yeah.
I just think he's like right there, man.
Yeah, totally.
He's probably my favorite Bronco that I've gotten to watch since Manning retired and all those great guys left. So
No doubt.
Just so technically sound.
Yeah,
like,
since
I love
Vaughn.
corners that
Good
can
at everything.
tackle, too.
He's a beast, man.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely
we
phenomenal.
grew up watching Champ.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
having
the
a
best.
corner that can tackle is like, yeah.
It is the shit.
In fact, it makes me angry when corners can't tackle. Like, I get it. It's not their like primary role, but just take some pride, man.
Yeah.
Take some pride. Get up in there.
At least work on it, man.
Yeah.
The ones that are just like, I don't want to get hit. You're like, you play defense.
You've got the turn.
I guess by default I have to take MPJ here.
It's a champion. That's nice.
So like he's good.
Yeah. High upside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fourth pick is the one that's really going to bother me, just because there's some really good players that I'm picking from. But I'm going to go with Byram.
Dang.
And
I
surprise
think
nobody.
upside is
but
the highest. I mean, MPJ Byram is a pretty nice one too for
yeah,
you.
that's how I feel.
Okay, you have PS2. Who would you take with your second pick, Justin?
I wanted to go Byram. I thought he was going to slip to me there, but I'm going to go Jerry Jeudy. I don't think we've seen the best of Jerry Jeudy yet, even close to it. And I think if we can get him in a competent offensive system with a quarterback that's functioning and in rhythm, we're really going to see his all-pro potential. So I'm going Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah.
To me, those five were the top tier, quite clearly. So while I get Cale, I am in a spot where my second rounder I feel like is slightly lesser value. Give me Christian Brown,
Really?
and I think I'll take Sammy G
Okay.
at the turn.
Oh, man. All right.
All right.
I'm going to end up with all Broncos, and that's not really what I wanted to do here.
You could take Toby.
Yeah, I'm going to go Javonte Williams. And you have some uncertainty, obviously, given the knee injury, but I think when healthy, he's going to be, top 5 running back in football.
It's not bad. It's not bad. I'm a big Javonte believer. I think he would.
Yeah.
He's probably the more of a third, fourth, or fifth pick overall, if not for the injuries.
Yeah, I think so.
AJ, you close us out with your third rounder.
Well, I'm thrilled to get the chance to take Ezekiel Tovar because
Kind of let him fall to you.
he's the best. I love him to pieces.
You're so well represented with MPJ, Byram, and Toby.
That's
Yeah.
what I wanted to do. That's what I was hoping to do, and it just has not. The draft has not played out in my strategy.
And I'm gonna take another nugget. I'm gonna take Peyton Watson.
Ooh.
It goes back to Justin.
Yep, my final pick, right? So I got to make it count. Oh man. I'm going to go. Zach Allen, I guess. He's 25.
Yeah.
I know. He's good. He's had a productive career thus far.
I almost went with Nick Benito just in terms of projecting. I think his potential at edge is pretty solid. I like Baron Browning too, but I think if we're going what we've seen thus far, proven players, it's got to be Zach Allen for me.
I've got Makar. I've got Christian Brown. I've got Sammy G. I need a Bronco. Give me Baron Browning. I love Baron Browning's upside. Some of the flashes he showed us in edge rusher last season were truly incredible. So that's who I'm going to go with. Boom. It's pretty solid.
Yeah.
I think...
I hope that list gets a lot stronger in the next few years.
Do you want a rundown
Yeah,
of that
for real.
list?
Yes.
You have our teams?
Yeah.
I do. Do you want it ranked but 1 through 12, or do you want just each individual person?
Each individual
Each individual,
team,
yeah.
please.
All right. Andre has got Cale, Christian Brown, Sammy G, Tovar, and Browning.
I had Tovar.
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
sorry.
AJ has Tovar, I have Browning. Yep.
Yes. And then AJ, you've got MPJ, Bo, Tovar, P-Watt, and that's it.
Hell
Yep.
yeah.
And then
That's a fun team.
That was a,
J
how
Mike, you've
good it'll
got
be.
Bertan, Jerry Judy, Williams, and Allen. How did you not get to pick twice at all? That's so unfair. At no point did you get
Being
to
in the
pick
middle.
I know.
Sandwich round.
Yeah.
Yep. Middle child
Most
syndrome.
consistent picks, though.
Yeah, that's true. Thanks, fellas. This was a blast. Thank you to Breck Brew for presenting this here show. Thank you to Tiff for producing. You all have a lovely weekend. We will be back again next week with another Denver sports topic for you all. Have a good one.